Hello, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you are new here. I feel like I have not been here in a minute, like I haven't done one of these videos in a while, and if you are tuning in on the podcast, I feel like it's been a couple of weeks since I uploaded an episode, and the reason is I've been traveling and I had some technical issues. I was on the phone with Apple for an hour yesterday trying to get all of that sorted, and I just took the whole thing as a sign to take a step back and to just chill out a little bit. It's easy for me to kind of really dive into my work, and the rest of my life kind of will go out of balance because I dive so much into work. And I love what I do, though. You know what I'm saying? I love what I do. So it's really easy for me to kind of get lost in that. So sometimes the universe sends me little nudges to Brittany, chill out, honey. Go do the other things that you love to do, because there's so many other things that I love to do as well. So I took that as just a reminder to take a step back. And, you know, I had just gotten back from my retreat and I was like, oh my gosh, I have so many videos to edit because I felt behind a little bit. So what this has really shown me is like, okay, Brittany, it's okay if you miss a week of videos. Instead of like overworking to catch up, just take a step back. Nobody's gonna die. Nobody's gonna die. You're fine. Anyway, so I just took that as my sign to take a step back. I got the issue sorted, so we're good now. I mean, fingers crossed, we'll find out. But anyways, let's dive into the episode today. I want to talk about showing up in your calling. I'm like, how do I want to word this? So if you're like me, or if you clicked on this video, you probably feel as though you have a calling, and your calling might be to help people. I hear a lot of people say this, I feel like I'm here to help people. My purpose is to help people. And helping people can be in so many different ways. Do you know what I'm saying? You can be of service in so many different ways. And I feel like people struggle really finding what that is for them, or what that looks like, or how to show up in that way. And it could be hard when you have such a desire and such a calling to do something, but then you lack okay, but how do I get there? So I want to talk about that today because I feel like it's important. So get cozy, get comfy. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So for one, this calling to help other people, I get it because I feel like that's a part of why I'm here. And there's a few things I want to talk about with that alone, because sometimes when we have this need to help people, you know, we always need to remember that, okay, people can also help themselves. You know, we are not here to save other people. We are here for ourselves at the end of the day. And if people want our help and they come to us for whatever help they're coming to us for, you know, that's one thing. But sometimes we get into this, it's easy to get into this energy of okay, I need to help people. I need to make this happen. How do I show up? What am I supposed to do? And it's remembering that there is divine timing to everything. And oftentimes, you know, people who want to help people, or healers also, they get into this work without having helped themselves first. And it's really easy to bypass the part of helping yourself because we weren't taught how to help ourselves. We weren't taught how to heal ourselves. So it's so important actually that the healer goes through that experience of really helping themselves and healing themselves first, so that they truly can show up in a way to truly impact people in a positive way. Hurt people, and a lot of healers are hurt. Most people on this world are hurt. I want to say every single person on this earth, I'm sure, has dealt with some sort of hurt. Hurt is also passed down. It's passed down in the womb. It can be brought over from past lives. So we can be carrying so much, and we might not even be aware of it. And that's where a lot of the problem lies. It's we feel this calling to help people. Okay, I need to help people. I need to do it. I need to make this happen. But we haven't slowed down enough to really take a look at ourselves, to really make sure that we are safe and secure within ourselves, to heal first. And no, you don't have to be fully healed to step into this work, because healing is a forever journey. However, if you are not on that path, then your impact on others might not be so positive. It might be unknowingly more of a negative impact. And that's where we need to be careful because, like I said before, hurt people hurt people. And I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming anybody for this. Of course, like I said before, we weren't taught how to help ourselves. We weren't taught how to heal first. And when you have this calling of, I'm supposed to be showing up in the world in this sort of a way, our human mind wants to try to achieve that now because we're only used to that instant gratification. We're used to thinking our way through life. We're used to making plans and trying to sort the way out as opposed to letting go, surrendering, and trusting the timing of things and being patient. So I want to acknowledge that it's nobody's fault and it's difficult to try to teach yourself something like this, but that's really what's happening on earth right now. As we're going through this awakening, as this shift is happening, we are learning how to heal ourselves. We are remembering who we are, and as the healer, it's important to have gone through that yourself and to continue that path. There are a lot of people's coaches, spiritual mentors, healers, whatever label you want to put on them. So many people in these roles, in these positions, who aren't yet truly on the path yet themselves. And oftentimes they're operating from a wounded place unknowingly. It doesn't mean they're bad people. Often they mean really, really well. Often they do mean well. Often they do have a beautiful heart. Often they really do want to help people. However, if they are unconscious of their wounds, if they are unaware of their wounds and their shadows, essentially their ego, that can bleed and project onto whoever it is that they're working with, whoever it is who has come to them for help. And if somebody's coming to you for something like that, more than likely they are vulnerable. And when a person is vulnerable, they are really easy to manipulate. So often with this dynamic, it can end up being very dangerous. It can be very dangerous when the person of authority, for lack of a better word, is unaware of the work they need to do on themselves, because often it will project onto that person. Often manipulation will happen, and you even see abusive dynamics forming unknowingly. And I want to stress that it's unknowingly, because often these people, and I'm not saying all people, I'm sure some people do know what they're doing and they're choosing that. However, more times than not, I truly believe wholeheartedly that the person in that authority position is unknowingly doing this, which is why it is imperative, it is so important to have gone on that path yourself, to really know who you are, because the more you know who you are, the more you understand your darkness, the more you will be able to recognize that within yourself. And when you're able to recognize that, you are a lot less likely to project that, to inflict that on somebody else. So I guess my point with that spiel there is, if you feel called to help people, that's beautiful. That's amazing. And yeah, I get it. I get it. Ask yourself first, honestly, because this is another thing, learning to be really honest and reflective with yourself, really asking yourself, okay, where am I on this journey? Do I feel whole and complete on my own? Me wanting to help people, yes, it's coming from a good place, but what are my other drives? Am I hoping to make money? If so, why am I hoping to make money? Am I hoping to make this a business? Am I hoping to, help people and make a lot of money so that that's my full-time job? Ask yourself why you're trying to correlate the two, because if you really wanted to help people, you would just want to help people. You wouldn't do it for the return. And I know that might be, some of you might disagree with that. Let me go into that a little bit more. When you help people, it really needs to come from, it should come from a genuine place, a heart-led place. A heart-led place. When you're very aware of the mind versus the heart, and you're very aware of your shadows and your ego, and you're really wanting to help people, you want it to come from the heart. And I agree that when you're doing work, of course you deserve stuff in return, or you deserve whether that be money or whatever it is that, you get back. It's knowing your worth. Of course, know your worth. With that said, the line is often blurry. Because a lot of people have money wounds. And this is a societal wound. This is a collective wound. So often a lot of these wounds are subconscious. As a collective, we currently, we often base our worth on how successful we are. We base our worth on money, and we don't feel safe and secure unless we have X amount of money. So our ego is going to want to keep us safe. Our ego is going to want that money. Our ego is going to want that success, because when we have that success, we have that validation outside of us. When we have that money, we also have that safety. That safety is provided for us as well, but these things are external things. These things are coming outside of us. And because of societal programming, we subconsciously really strive. We want those things. We base our worth on it, etc., etc. And that can be really dangerous, because that's an egoic thing. These are things outside of us. And that energy can come into, it can seep into what you're doing, if that makes sense. And it can take something that's pure and kind of like, like what I'm seeing in my mind's eyes, I'm seeing like a pure glass of water, and when you just like do one drop of color, it changes the whole thing. Like the whole thing changes just with one little drop of color. I can't think of the word right now, but it infects it, essentially. So we really want to make sure that we're not coming from a wounded place. We are not needing success. We do not need success to feel worthy. We do not need X amount of money to feel safe. Therefore, what we're doing, we're just doing it out of the goodness of our hearts. But a lot of people tie the two together. Okay, I'm going to start my business. I'm going to help people. I'm going to make X amount of dollars this month. I'm going to be this successful. I'm going to get this many clients. And it's putting way too much pressure on your work. Way too much pressure. And it's pressure from an egoic place. Again, that toxic, not as good of an energy. Not saying you're doing this, not saying you're a bad person, but that energy there will affect what you're doing. And with that said, I believe that when you're truly in alignment and you are coming from a heart-centered space, the universe will provide. The universe will give back to you. Absolutely. They will give back to you. However, often starting your own business or something like this, coming from a heart-centered place, it takes so much time. It takes a lot more time than what our ego wants, because we want that instant gratification. We want to see that success right away. And if I'm being completely honest, based on my experience, when it really comes from a heart-centered place, you're not just going to make X amount of dollars overnight. It doesn't work that way. It's not that simple. So it's being okay with it taking a long time. It's being okay with that. And it's doing it anyways because you want to, because you have a calling and you've taken off the money aspect. I'm going to give you like a personal example. A lot of people assume that I make so much money doing what I do. I don't make any money off of my TikTok. Not that it's about the followers, because I literally don't care about this, but I have over 500,000 on my TikTok. My videos regularly do get a good amount of views. People assume that I make money off of that, but living in Canada, I don't have the creator fund. We don't have the creator fund here. I don't make any money off my TikToks. I also don't do brand collaborations. I've done maybe like one or two in like I've done like the amount of brand collaborations I've done through my time being on social media, you can count like on one hand, because for me, it's not about that. It's not about the money. My podcast that I'm doing right now, this podcast, off my YouTube, I make now maybe like $200 a month. And I've been working on my YouTube for a long time. Same with my podcast. I just started a new podcast with my friend Holly, and we also just started up the Beehive together. We also do healing circles. So the money that we've been making from the healing circles and the Beehive goes into our podcast, because we do have an editor. We are not pocketing any of the money, which is okay, which is absolutely okay. We're not doing it for the money. I know in time, the universe will give back to us. My point with all of this is what you see, and I'm just using me as an example because it's an easy example to use. I've recently actually met a few people who just like assume that I make so much money doing what I do. On my online platforms, I put a lot of time and energy into it. I really don't make any money off of it. The money I do make goes back into the production, and I break even. For a while, it was just coming out of my own pocket. I'm not doing it, it's not money driven. And it's been a few years of me really working hard on this, a few years of really working hard on this. And I'm okay if it always stays like this. I'm okay if it always forever stays like this, because I love what I do so much. Going back to what I was saying at the beginning, it's like I consider this work, but really it's not work. This is not where I make my money, but to me, it's what I love to do. It's like a passion. It's a calling. I feel called to create, to make these videos, to use my voice. And it takes a lot of my time, and I'm not getting that payback. A lot of people would get discouraged and they would give up. And it's like, it's not about that though. You don't want to tie the two together. If you're curious where I do make my money, is I make my money off of one-on-one readings. So I do one-on-one readings with people, and I'm so grateful for the platform TikTok gave me. Because of that, I was able to transition to one-on-one readings. That's why I was able to quit my teaching career. But social media, which I do a lot of and I create a lot of, and a lot of people would say, you know, not that it matters about the following, but I do have a decent following. A lot of people would assume that that's my full-time job. That's where I make all my money. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. I make my money with my readings, and I'm very, very grateful for that. With that said, I'm no like millionaire. And that's okay. I have exactly what I need. My parents are actually helping me out right now. I owe them some money, because when I was traveling around, I sold all of my things. And when I came back to buy this apartment, I had to buy all new furniture. So they lent me some money because they knew that I didn't have the money to buy all new furniture. They said, here, Brittany, like, take this. You can, you know, buy what you want for yourself and then pay us back. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm grateful that my parents are able to support me. I'm so grateful, and I'm appreciative. You know, it's like I didn't need to borrow from the bank or anything like that, which I would have done, which would have been absolutely okay. So I'm just, you know, I'm grateful for my parents. I want to acknowledge that. And I'm fine. I'm getting what I need. I get what I need from the universe. I'm getting what I need. It's not like I don't do well for myself. I get what I need, but I don't hoard money. I don't feel like I need to hoard it, because I've really worked on my money wounds. And my parents even helping me out is helping me heal some of my money wounds as well. When I grew up with my parents, they kind of held money over my head, like living in their house. I had to follow their rules even in my early 20s, because they were like, oh, Brittany, you live under our roof. You know, they didn't make me pay rent. They also paid, when I went to university, they paid for a majority of my university, which I'm grateful for. I ended up paying for my university toward the end. And the reason was because I wanted to, because my parents used the money as kind of a manipulation. Not that they meant to do that, you know, like they did this unknowingly, but they had a leash on me. And in my early 20s, I wanted to be able to go out with my friends for a weekend if I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be able to sleep over at my boyfriend's house, which I wasn't allowed to do any of that stuff living under my parents' roof. So in order to kind of let go of their grasp, I became hyper independent, and I didn't let them pay for anything. I didn't let them help me out at all. Because for me, you know, I'm like getting emotional as I'm talking about this. I'm like, oh shit, maybe I have some journaling that I need to do about this later. Because for a long time I was made to feel guilty, and they held the money over my head. And with that said, I'm grateful. Like, I always had food on the table. I always had clothes on my back. My parents were able to provide. They helped when I went to school. I'm grateful I don't have student loans, because I know a lot of people do. I'm not trying to say I'm not grateful for that. With that said, it kind of like flips to the other side. They did help. However, it was used to manipulate me, so I didn't want anything to do with that, so I didn't let them help me at all anymore. And I became very, very hyper independent. I moved out as soon as I could, and I cut them off in that sense so that I could live, so I was free to be me. I wasn't free. Oh, wow, there's a hummingbird. I wasn't free to be me while they helped support me in any way. So them actually helping to support me now is very healing. It's very healing. And, you know, I'm like wanting to pay my parents back, wanting to pay them back. And last year I owed a lot more taxes than I had planned for. It was my first year really working for myself, so I didn't plan accordingly. So I was like getting ready to pay my parents back, and then all of a sudden that extra money I saved had to go toward taxes, which I recently only like paid off. And then Spirit guided me. My intuition told me to go on a retreat. I know you guys could say, oh, Brittany, you didn't have to go on the retreat. And you're absolutely right. I didn't have to go, but I go where I'm called, and I knew that God was calling me to go to this retreat. And that's a story for another day. I'm going to have to do I'll have to tell you guys about the retreat, because I definitely was there for a reason, for more than one reason. And it makes sense now, but God sent me there and I go where I'm called. So I'm like, do you know what? Like, I even told my mom, I'm like, hey, look, like, I know I haven't been able to pay you guys back yet. And normally, like, I wouldn't just go on a vacation for the sake of going on a vacation. My priority is to pay my parents back. But I was like, look, I'm being called on this retreat and they're supporting me and they're okay with that. And my mom even says, like, do you know what, Brittany, no rush. And it's me feeling like I need to pay them back right now. And this ties to like past wounds. But anyways, with that said, I'm doing fine. I'm not saying I don't make enough money, because I make more than enough, and I make enough to be able to go on this retreat, to spend the money to do things like that. I have parents that are supporting and helping me right now. So my point, I guess, being is I don't do this for the money. However, the universe will provide when you are giving freely of your time, when you are putting out there, when you are doing this work simply because you want to. And you're not seeking anything outside of you. You're not seeking that success for validation. You're not seeking that money for safety and security. When you're able to find that validation from within yourself, when you're able to find that safety and security within yourself, you won't seek it outside of you. Therefore, the energy behind what you're doing is more pure. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. And the thing is a lot of people are unaware of these wounds. They're unaware of these wounds. And I'm using money and whatnot as an example, but there are so many others that can tie along with this, which is why it is really important, if you feel a calling to help people, really make sure that you are doing the things to help yourself. You are making an effort to become the best version of yourself always. You are constantly reflecting. You are questioning your life. Why am I the way I am? Why do I believe this? And you are showing up authentically. You really need to, again, walk the walk. It's not just about talking the talk. And a lot of people, unfortunately, just talk the talk. A lot of people have been through these coaching programs, these this, these that, and they feel like they have what they need because they have a certification, but they'll often find themselves stuck, like what they're doing is not working, or they're not getting the clients they thought they would get. And there's nothing wrong with that, but stop and reflect. Okay, am I not getting these clients? Maybe because I'm not ready yet, or maybe this isn't fully in alignment with me. And if that's the case, that's okay. Get curious about it, because when you do understand the root as to why you might not be seeing success in certain areas or whatever that is, often it's trying to mirror something back at you, if that makes sense. And when you're able to understand what that is and get to the root of it and love yourself and heal and whatever it is that's causing the root, that's often when you'll see the doors start opening. That's when you'll start to see more of that quote unquote success roll in, because you are more so in alignment and the energy behind it is from a place of love. The energy behind it is coming from a pure place. And another thing too, it's like you could like start something and it's coming from a good place, and you might hit some road bumps, or it's not going as smoothly as you hoped it would. It's not getting upset about those things because, again, you didn't put the pressure on it to, make X amount of money or whatever. It's simply getting curious, like, okay, this is not growing as fast as I want it. Why? Where is this coming from, And what I've learned, it's like, it's just my ego that wants things to go fast. It's just my ego that wants things to move faster. And, with time, I've realized like really, really important lessons along the way. I'm like, oh, and in hindsight, I realized, oh my God, like, no, I wasn't ready for that back then. I thought I was at the time, but I wasn't. So it's really like letting God, source, the universe lead. Like if you have a higher calling, you are being led. Your higher self is leading you. God is leading you. Let them lead. Let them lead, because they know the best path for you. They know the timing of that path as well. The ego is going to want to race forward. The ego is going to want that and this right now. The ego is often the mind, and often will only lead you to destruction. I'm seeing like the tower in my mind's eye. It'll lead you to building something too fast. And because you built something too fast, there might be some things that you missed in the foundation. There might be some cracks in the foundation, and you don't want cracks in the foundation, because that's what is going to lead to everything crumbling. And often it's a lot harder to pick up the pieces. If you are able to be patient, trust the divine timing, and let God lead you, that way you'll ensure the foundations are rock fucking solid. They're going to be rock solid. They're going to be made of brick. There's going to be nothing that can break it down. It's going to be made of brick, but malleable like plants are, like a tree, it could blow in the wind and nothing will happen. You get what I'm saying. Your foundation is going to be solid. Then you will have the ability to hold and withstand everything that's coming because your foundation is solid enough, it's secure enough, and you'll be able to grow and grow and grow without it crumbling. But often that will take more time. There's nothing wrong with that, it taking time. Like for me, I know that I feel that I'm gonna have a retreat center one day. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding on to it, but that's something that came to me. It's not like I'm like, okay, I need to make it happen right now. I'm like, I'll probably have the retreat center by the time I'm 50 or 60. I'm 30. Like I literally have 20, 30 more years. Like there's so much time, and even more than that. Maybe it's going to take another 40 years until that comes in fruition. It's not about when it comes into fruition. It's not about getting there. It's about enjoying the journey and becoming who I need to be to hold it when it does come in. And by showing up for yourself, by caring for yourself, that is the best thing you can do, not only for you, but for everybody else around you, because that ripples. That's how you can show up and help other people. And it's also knowing that people are on their own journey. They can help themselves. We are not anybody's saviors. We all have unique talents and gifts and abilities. And yes, we absolutely can help people within our area of expertise. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we all have gifts. We're all an expert at some sort of in some sort of area. And absolutely we can help other people in that area. It's also knowing that other people are also there to help you because they also have unique gifts that they can share with you that might help you along your path, along your way. So it's also really checking yourself in the sense of like, okay, why do I feel like people need me so much? And of course people need you, but I think, do you get what I'm saying? It's like really being conscientious. Okay, like, yes, I want to help people. I feel like I can help people, but it's also knowing that it's like, it's not all you. We're all in this together. We are all in this together. Every single person you encounter has the ability to teach you something. I believe we're all here to help each other, to share our unique gifts, talents, abilities, which can impact those around us just as other people's abilities and gifts will impact us. And it's really like a symbiotic relationship. Does that make sense? Symbiotic. I don't know if that's what's coming to mind, so I'm just going to trust that. It's like a symbiotic relationship. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to say. My point with this is don't rush it. Don't make it into a business. Like I want to say, don't make it into a business. If it's meant to be made into a business, it will happen organically. It'll happen so organically. Like I'm just using me as an example again, just because I could go off my personal experience. I started pursuing my passion just because I loved it. Like I started posting tarot readings online just genuinely because I loved it. Again, I make no money off of TikTok, and down the line, after a few years of just pursuing my passion, an opportunity came for me to turn it into a business, quote unquote, even though I don't see it as a business. Like I really don't look at what I do as a business. It sounds weird to me, but that is how I make my money, is doing my one-on-one readings. That happened organically. The universe said, here's an opportunity for you, Brittany. It's up to you if you want to take the risk, follow your heart, and take this opportunity, or stay in your comfort zone. But I didn't plan for this to happen. It just happened. It just happened. And with time, it grew and evolved. My readings, I started charging people $33.33 for a reading. That's it. I started cheap because I also knew where I was based on experience, and I didn't want to take advantage of people. And it is important to know your worth, know your worth. Don't be afraid to charge for your area of expertise. That was a journey for me as well as time went on. And, my readings have completely shifted and evolved, and I'm at a completely different place compared to where I was at. I've also been in development courses to help me and my growth. Really, it's about being in integrity at the end of the day. But I really want to say, don't try to make it a business. If it's meant to be made a business, it will happen organically. Put it out there because you love it, and because it's a calling, and because you have something to share, period. And the universe will provide. When you give freely, the universe will give back to you. It might not be in the way your ego thinks it should, but the universe will give back. They might give back through experience. They might give back through you meeting somebody new. They might give back through a free meal. I know that happened to me when I was struggling with money at one point. Like, my intuition guided me to stop working at one point. At one point on my healing journey, I stopped working for 6 months. At this point, I wasn't teaching anymore. Spirit had me traveling because, again, I go where I'm called, and I really felt called to move around to a few different places. I was called to a couple retreats, so I was spending this money, but I wasn't making money. And I trusted. I went 15 grand into the hole as a result of this. And my parents did not help me out at this point. I was, it was on my I was using my line of credit to support myself. 6 months later, a chunk of money came back to cancel that debt out unexpectedly. So in the end, I was taken care of, but I needed to trust the process. And I trusted that, okay, I'm not at a place right now where it's beneficial for me to be doing this for other people, because I needed my attention. Brittany needed Brittany. I was in such a deep phase of my healing that I needed to really put all of my energy into me at that time. And I'm grateful I listened, because through that process, I'm like, there's no way I would have been able to do readings for other people. And as a result of me pulling away for about 6 months and not doing readings, the growth that happened within me was so transformational that it actually helped my quote unquote business so much more when I came out on the other side. I didn't do it for that reason, but it happened as a byproduct because I was more in alignment. I was more healed. I mean, again, you don't need to be fully healed because that's impossible, but I was more aware of my shadow. I was more aware of the darkness within me because I went on a deep, deep journey to really bring a lot of that to light. Anyways, I feel like I'm going to leave it there. Oh, back to what I was saying. Don't try to make it a business. Do it just because you love it. Be patient. Be patient. Know that you want to build sturdy, solid foundations, and that takes time. Often to pursue your calling, it is something that's a forever journey. It's not something that you're just going to achieve in a month. And know that it can change from one thing to the next thing. It doesn't need to be one specific thing. Just always follow your heart. Always show up for yourself. Let God lead. Take the pressure off of it. Yeah, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you thought of today's video. I'm sending you so much love. And until next time, bye.
This is me, I'm so royal. And you all wanna be round. Yeah, you all wanna be round. Round a champion, a champion.